Honorable Chairperson of the Board of Governors, Honorable President of African Development Bank Group, Honorable Governor, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of government of the United Republic of Tanzania, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to the government of Ghana and its people for hosting the 2022 AfDB annual meeting and for the warm reception and the hospitality accorded to me and my delegation since we arrived in this beautiful land. I would like also to thank the AfDB group for the excellent sufficient logistics arrangements for the meeting, commended the bank to choose a warmly theme of the annual meeting, Achieving Climate Resilience and Just Transition for Africa. Indeed, the theme aligns well with our global challenges and ensures sustainability of the future generation. Honorable Chairperson, I'm delighted to report that Tanzania economy continued on the recovery of the negative effect of the COVID-19 pandemic, thanks to the concerted efforts of fighting pandemic, including the support of the bank. GDP is expected to grow to around 5.3% due to ongoing efforts of favorable macroeconomic policies, which support growth through strengthening public investments and improving business environment, as well as developing strategies to combat the effects of COVID-19 and the war between Russia and Ukraine. The trend is continuing to grow in the medium term. Honorable Chairperson, headline inflation remains within the target of 3 to 5%, in line with the EAC and the SADC convergence criteria of 8% and between 3 to 7% respectively. In 2021, headline inflation rose to an average of 3.7% compared to 3.3% recorded in 2020. And this trend has been sustained in the first quarter of 2022. The rise was mainly driven by increase in prices of food and energy. Inflation is projected to remain within the medium-term target of 5.0%, attributed to reduction in the production costs on account of stable and reliable power supply, as well as sustainable, prudent monetary and fiscal policies, and continued stability of the value of Tanzanian shilling against major currencies. Upward risks to inflation remain predicted mainly on the rising global oil prices, effects of war in Ukraine, and upward trend of food inflation. Honorable Chairperson, I'm pleased to note that the African Development Bank support to the United Republic of Tanzania through its high 5 priority areas, that is to say, increasing the quality of life for the people of Africa, light up, empower Africa, integrate Africa, industrialize Africa, and feed Africa, has been supportive to our national development agenda for the further and sustainable development goals and Africa's Agenda 2063 for the inclusive growth and sustainable development. Further, the development support has been selective and focused on development of strategic infrastructure and regional integration. I am delighted to note that the bank's ongoing portfolio in Tanzania consists of 23 projects with a total value of $2.5 billion USD, out of which 19 are sovereign projects and 4 are non-sovereign projects. Over the past 5 years, the portfolio has grown considerably from USD 1.8 billion in 2017 to USD 2.5 billion in 2023 and maintained satisfactory performance. The overall average size of the project financed by the bank has increased from USD 91.3 million in 2019 to USD 105.7 million in 2021. This would have not been possible without facilitated by efforts coordination of the bank's country team and the government team. Infrastructure accounts for 87% of the portfolio value, with the transport accounting for 62% of the portfolio, followed by energy, which is 16%, and the water supply and sanitation 9%, whereas remaining 13% is allocated to other sectors, including agriculture, private sector development, and economic governance. I wish to express our sincere appreciation to the bank for the financing infrastructure projects, which include the transport sector support program to the tune of USD 346.55, Salato International Airport Construction Project, USD 271 million, Kabingo Kasuru Manyovu Project, 256.2 USD, Arusha Sustainable Water Project, 211.07 USD, Dodoma Outer Ring Road Project, 180 million USD, Bagamoyo Horohoro and to Malindi Road Project, USD 170.21 million, Dar es Salaam Basi Rapid Transit System Phase 2, USD 141.75 million USD, Maragarasi Hydro Power Project, USD 140 million, Northwest Grid Power Transmission Line Project, worth 123.39 million, and the Dodoma Water Supply Project worth USD 125.2 million. Honorable Chairperson, the theme of this year's annual meeting, Achieving Climate Resilience and a Just Energy Transition to Africa, for Africa, draws attention to one of the critical issues that our countries need to address at this juncture. Climate change vulnerabilities inflict a significant economic costs to Tanzania and threaten the country's long-term growth. Tanzania is vulnerable to the adverse impact of the climate change, which include reasonable variabilities, frequent and prolonged drought, frequent floods, a strong wind, and the sea level rising associated with the salt infiltration. Extreme events such as the floods and the prolonged drought are still affecting million people of the livelihood and impacting negative for the country's long-term growth. Climate change would negatively impact the key sectors of economy, including agriculture and food security, water supply, power generation, industry, infrastructure, which collectively may strengthen Tanzania's future economic growth and development. A 2021 study of the Global Climate Adaptation Partnership estimated the economic cost of costing climate variability in Tanzania to about 1% of GDP annually, with the likelihood to escalate to 2 to up to 3% of GDP annually by 2030. Honorable Chairperson, financing climate change mitigation and adaptation in Tanzania will require scaling up of resources from international partners and domestic interventions. The country is eligible for most of the available international climate funds and has received funding from international multilateral funds, including Global Environmental Facility, Adaptation Fund, the Least Developed Countries Fund, and the Green Climate Fund. Also, Tanzania participated in several regional and global projects funded by GDF, amounting to USD 988.3 million, with the operations leveraging co-financing to the tune of USD 7 million 485. Furthermore, Tanzania benefited from USD 15.1 million LDCF, which also attracted USD 1.7 million co-financing insufficient of climate support climate mitigation and adaptation initiative. Domestically, the government is implementing the local climate financing initiative, which allows the local government authorities across the country to access and use climate financing effectively for the building viable climate resilience to local economies and communities. Also, the ongoing public investments in renewable energy, as well as bus rapid transit system in the leading commercial city of Dar es Salaam, will contribute significantly to the efforts of reducing greenhouse gas. Honorable Chairperson, despite these efforts, financing for climate change mitigation and adaptation in Tanzania remain inadequate. According to estimates from the several studies, about USD 500 million is required annually to reduce current vulnerability to climate change, and a further USD 100 up to 150 million per year will be required to build capacity to enhance resilience to future climate change. Furthermore, the cost of implementing Tanzania's national determined contribution is estimated to USD 14 billion. Bridging the gap in climate change financing to address vulnerability and building resilience in Tanzania will therefore require significant scaling up of support from international partners and the geared engagement of the domestic and non-state actors, including the private sector and civil societies. Honorable Chairperson, notwithstanding of the aforementioned climate change impact, together with the COVID-19 pandemic to our economies, the ongoing war in Ukraine is deterrence to quick recovery and is threatening to reverse the poverty alleviation and economic growth efforts realized so far. It is therefore high time to take a concerted efforts and measures to address the shocks and ensure economic resilience and inclusive recovery. I therefore commend the AfDB initiative under the African Emergency Food Production Plan, which is a short-term intervention to raise production of wheat, maize, rice, and soybean to compensate for supply loss due to war in Ukraine. I'm informed that the bank investing USD 1.5 billion in the plan, and around 0.2 billion is expected from partners across the globe. Tanzania will work to tap these resources. Honorable Chairperson, of the government of the United Republic of Tanzania recognizes the needs to strengthen the bank's reading capacity in order to realize this objective, including the aforementioned challenges to the continent and globe at large. In this regard, Tanzania will continue to support the bank in its endeavor to expand its capitalization by amounting others, tapping resources from the region to its growing leading programs without breaching its prudential excellence. In addition, Tanzania would like to urge the bank management to continue undertaking reforms in order to ensure that the bank delivers its mandate. Lastly, Honorable Chairperson, allow me to conclude my statement by reaffirming our full support of the bank's priority by the government of the United Republic of Tanzania under the auspicious leadership of our President, Samia Suluhu Hassan. Let me also take this opportunity to equally pledge similar support to the Office of the Executive Director, AfDB Regional Officer, and the country office in Tanzania under the new country manager. Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Governors, I thank you very much for your kind attention.